So we're going to talk about Star Wars. We're going to talk about Dave Filoni, who is now in charge of Lucasfilm, or half in charge, I guess, of Lucasfilm. He's out there doing, I believe, damage control for Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't think it's looking too good for this movie. I don't think it's going to be like an abject failure. I don't think it's going to be like the worst thing ever. But I don't think it's going to hit like Star Wars level of box office, right? I think we could potentially be looking at another Solo. That's not good. I mean, it's not good for the brand. Star Wars used to be an event, right? And this guy has inherited a very used franchise, but people keep forgetting he's partly responsible for that himself. So it's like, are things really going to change? I don't think they're really going to change that much. I think this is just damage control. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how the box office is looking this summer. And there are quite a few movies that are coming out that actually look pretty decent, but box office wise, like they're going to be some misfires, right? So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. So let's talk about the numbers first. This is actually coming from Reddit, the box office subreddit, and this Reddit has been pretty accurate before. The subreddit's been accurate before, but these are the predictions according to top 1% commenter Mysterious Brush. So there you go. These are the ones that they seem to think are going to be a flop this summer. They think The Bride isn't going to do fantastic. They're saying 40 million domestic. We'll see. And I guess this weekend is not looking too good just all the way around. Geeky is going to be in later. She's going to have a review of Hoppers. She went to go see that, but I don't think the box office for that's doing super well either. They said Animal Farm is going to be a disaster. They said the movie completely subverts the message of the original, which will turn a lot of people away from it. Turning a violent political satire into a kid's film isn't a winning strategy. No, I can't. Well, they tried doing an Anne Frank animated musical or something one time. It was the weirdest damn thing. I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? $2 million domestic. Wow. The Mandalorian and Grogu, despite only having a $180 million budget, I think it won't end up much higher than a Flash movie since The Mandalorian Season 3 was a dud. The trailer had very bad metrics and a lukewarm response, and to be honest, the trailer made it seem like something that can wait for streaming since it's very similar in quality to the TV series. Yeah, it's like we've got Mandalorian at home. That's what it feels like. They're saying 175 million domestic, 160 million international, and 330 million worldwide. And for Star Wars, that's really bad, right? Now, the only thing that could save this one is that it is a cheaper movie, and it looks like it is a cheaper movie. I'm going to be honest. It looks cheap. Now, this was kind of interesting, and we'll go back to Mandalorian and Grogu, but Masters of the Universe. The predictions for this one are not great, but they just moved up Scary Movie 6 to compete head to head with Masters of the Universe. I don't think that's going to go well for them at all. And then the following week, that new Steven Spielberg alien movie, Disclosure Day, I think comes out. And it's not going to go well for Masters of the Universe. I think it's going to be a dud. Plus, Jared Leto, that's the kiss of death. And they mentioned that. They said long dormant IP that most general audiences are unaware of. Jared Leto has proven to be box office poison time and time again, but at least it was directed by Travis Knight, so it will likely be well received. Prediction 110 million domestic, 130 million international, 240 worldwide. I actually would agree with that. I think the movie might be pretty decent. I think it's going to go down though, like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, like Honor Among Thieves, where it actually was a decent movie that was done in by piss poor trailers. And, we had the people, working on the movie, shooting their mouths off, and it definitely did damage it. I didn't watch the movie until about 6 or 8 months after it was out of the theater. I watched it on digital because I was sick as a dog that day. And I'm like, I'm bedridden. I'm going to watch something. Sure, I haven't seen D&D yet. I'll watch it. How bad can it be? And it was actually pretty good. So the expectation was on the floor, though. Supergirl, they said, is going to be another dud. It's only going to clear like 300 million. Could be. I don't know. But let's talk about Dave Filoni. God, everything looks like vomit green, like diarrhea green. Like the trailer did not excite me at all. It just looks really blah. The Mandalorian and Grogu launches a new era of Star Wars, but not how you think. Lucasfilm president Dave Filoni calls the new movie a completely different era of Star Wars, but that requires some context. A completely different era that's going to use all of my OCs from the animated series and tie in all the Disney Plus shows that you probably haven't watched. Star Wars franchise is built around eras from the Old Republic to the High Republic. The fall of the Jedi to the reign of the Empire. The series has consistently been defined by its timeline. So when one of the presidents of Lucasfilm, says the new movie Mando and Grogu is set in a completely different era of Star Wars now, you have to break that down. What? Okay. This comes from the new issue of Empire, where Dave Filoni is talking about the upcoming film, which he co-wrote with director Jon Favreau. At first, the quote seems odd because obviously The Mandalorian and Grogu is set in a very, very rigid era of Star Wars story-wise, like the show it's based on, as well as The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew. It's set in the New Republic era, as defined by Lucasfilm itself. It's the era between the game-changing events of Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. The Disney acquisition. Maybe the film goes beyond those constraints. So what does Filoni mean? Well, here's the full quote. Episode 7 was a completely different entity. I had dreams of episode 7 since I came out of Return of the Jedi. You're like, after 6 comes 7. Where's 7? We're in a completely different era of Star Wars now. Okay, that makes more sense. He's talking culturally. The 7-year gap between Star Wars movies is the third longest in history, a distinction we explored in greater detail. But this time it's not coming out of nowhere. When The Phantom Menace and The Force Awakens came out, there hadn't been any live-action Star Wars to fill the gaps. However, between The Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian and Grogu, there's been the most Star Wars ever. Yeah. So that's, I think it's definitely diluted the brand. I mean, I talked about the other day with the late 80s, early 90s, how weird it was to not have any Star Wars. Because I was the same way. Like, after Return of the Jedi, and even though as a kid, I was like, okay, these movies come out every 3 years. So the next Star Wars is going to come out in 1986. And it did, and it was called Willow. I went to go see it. But I kept waiting because, I mean, back then we didn't have the internet, right? And we had, we buy magazines to try to keep up with the movies and the TV shows and stuff. And again, I'm a kid little kid, actually, when Star Wars, and I actually was a baby when Star Wars came out, but as a little kid, go and see these movies. And I'm like, where is the next one? Like, when's it coming out? It's been 3 years, maybe next year we'll get Star Wars. And then, next year went by and I'm like, by the time we hit like 1989, I'm like, yeah, I think Star Wars is over. Like, the toys are all gone off the shelves. It's like, I don't think we're getting any more Star Wars. Oh, well, at that point, I'd already kind of forgotten about it. But then we went to Disneyland and we went to Star Tours, and it was sad because there was hardly any merchandise. I mean, we had some model kits, I remember, and there were some weird, and I actually picked those up. I had the droids and Ewok. They were like little figurines, like the PVC figurines and stuff like that. But there's like nothing, t-shirts, but it wasn't like you had a whole big, like now where it's like so much damn Star Wars. So when the expanded universe came out, when the Zahn books dropped and when the prequels dropped, there was an appetite for Star Wars because people were hungry for Star Wars. We're not hungry for Star Wars anymore. Nobody wants any more fucking Star Wars. Like, we're over it, right? We got sick off of bad Star Wars. We threw up all over the place. You were like, you know what? I'm never eating Star Wars again. This happened to me one time I got sick. I had this black bean salsa from Walmart. I distinctly remember it because I will never eat it again. And I got so sick it was coming out of my nose. I think it was coming out of my ears. We got bad Star Wars, and this shit here looks like it's coming out of your ass. But the color, it's all green. People are burnt out on Star Wars. I don't know how this one's going to go. I don't think it's going to go well. And I think it's because of all the bad Star Wars that has come leading up to this. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, he's talking culturally. There's a gap. This time it's not coming out of nowhere. When The Phantom Menace and The Force Awakens came out, there hadn't been any live action Star Wars. Certainly a completely different era of Star Wars. What will be most interesting, though, is to see the fact that we've been so Star Wars spoiled. Is that what we're calling it? Star Wars spoiled? In the meantime, they'll make this film hit differently or flop differently. Can it surprise and delight us in the ways that made Star Wars so popular in the first place? This is so like, is it going to surprise us? Is there going to be lots of Grogu? What did he actually say? Is that all he said? He said, yeah. So he said, let's see, with season 3, it felt like the ending of a particular chapter. Then why you have all these cameos from these other characters? Like people, this is another one of these movies. People are gonna have to do homework. This is Damage Control. This is Damage Control. Yeah, so there's an opportunity for them to continue his best work as a bounty hunter. Season 3 of Mando was shit. This would be like, well, they are doing it. I was gonna say they are doing a Game of Thrones movie, right? But it's a prequel. But like, if you were gonna do this movie, you do this movie when people are feeling good about the series, like the X-Files movie. And that's what this feels. It feels like the X-Files movie, but like the shitty second X-Files movie or whatever that came out. Not the Fight the Future one, the one that came out when the series was in its prime and answered a whole bunch of questions, kind of. But the other shitty one they did after the fact that nobody cared about. That's what this feels like. Or like the made-for-TV movie, Hulk or something. Yeah, it's like the show's over, but we're going to do a made-for-TV follow-up, 5 years after the fact. That's what this feels like. It doesn't feel like a proper Star Wars movie. So this, let's see here. Filoni said this. He said, what can you do now? Says Filoni, noting that spectacle only goes so far. His question of, is the audience going to believe it? Are they going to feel it? That comes through in the characters. If the characters are connecting, then the adventure plays, the action plays, attention plays. The next adventure begins. Mando and Grogu are back. Star Wars enters a new era. Fire up the Razor Crest. Oh, holy puff piece. Holy shit. And then people were making fun of Rada the Hutt because they said he looks like the fat guy from the meme. It's like, leave the corporations alone because he's like this pup. It's not going to do well. I agree. To go back to the beginning, I agree. I think 300 to 400 million worldwide is pushing it, but we'll see. He promises us an all new, all different Star Wars, guys. You haven't seen any of this before, except you've seen all of it before. Gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.